The moon is the closest of all visible cosmic entities from Earth to its beings. Thereby, its beings adopted many relationships with the moon over time. From worshipping the moon to treading on its surface, these relationships grew. When the full moon is visible to Sri Lankans, a significant occurrence takes place among the people. Since more than 2000 years ago, Sri Lankans have prepared themselves to venerate the Lord Buddha, who taught humankind the path to enlightenment. When the moon is seen, to Sri Lankans, it's a Poya day. Since each Poya day associates itself with either the life of the Buddha or with historical significance, each Poya is observed with reverence. Out of all Poya days, the day that is revered the most is Vesak Poya Day, since it is on this day that the birth, enlightenment and passing of the Buddha is commemorated.
In the 6th century BC, the Lord Buddha set foot on Sri Lanka 3 times. He visited the kingdoms of Mahayangana, Nagadeepa and Kalaniya. By his preface, many of the societal disparities at that time were solved. Being taught that peace is the sovereign gift in life, early Lankans began to adopt Buddhism.
These paintings depict the resolving of clashes among the Yaksha clans, the purification of the land, preaching to gods and humans, and the establishment of the Mahayangana Dagava by god Sumana Saman with a sacred hair relic from the Buddha. Lord Buddha visited Nagadeepa kingdom to resolve an issue between the chieftains of the Naga clans. Chief Mahodara, who inhabited this area, gave forth his daughter in marriage to Prince Chulodara. As dowry, a chair encrusted with jewels was presented. Within a short time the girl passed, and hence Chief Mahodara requested back the jeweled chair. This was the reason for the issue to arise. Lord Buddha's intervention in this matter brought about a resolution. After listening to the teachings of the Buddha, both the parties decided to present the chair to the Buddha himself. This chair is believed to be placed within the Mahayangana Rajayatane Dagaba.
තුන්වන වර ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට වැඩම කළ අවස්ථාවෙහි උන්වහන්සේ මෙම
When the Lord Buddha visited us for the 3rd time, it was this area. It is believed that the visit was upon request of another chieftain by the name of Maniyakkika whilst in Mayanganaya. Historical tales tell of the Lord Buddha bathing in the Kalani river, partaking in alms and spreading his teachings among the society there.
උන්වහන්සේ වැඩ සිට
The robe which was doused in the water was later placed in a Dagaba here in Kalaniya. By his visit, this land was blessed.
අපේ ඓතිහාසික ලේඛනවල සඳහන් වෙනවා.
And so was the inception of Buddhism in Sri Lanka, which soon spread across the island with the coming of the cleric Arahat Mahinda in the 3rd century BC.
It was with the arrival of Mihindu Maharahatan that Buddhism developed steadily. It was by the instruction of King Ashoka in India that he arrived to Sri Lanka. It was the culture to put into practice the beliefs of one's king, and thus the people followed King Devanampiyathissa as he made Buddhism a state religion.
ධර්මාශෝක මහරජුරු
King Dharmashoka honored the 3rd Holy Buddhist Assembly by dispatching envoys to 9 different countries. This was held 236 years after the passing of the Buddha. It was during this time that King Devanampiyathissa meets Mahinda Thero while being accompanied by the followers. This meeting takes place upon the mountain Mihinthalaya. It has also been said that Mihinthalaya housed 68 caves for the bhikkhus to reside in. At one point, here were nearly 120,000 bhikkhus residing in this area, and this is further accounted for by the remaining architectural monuments.
පරිසරය විඳ ගනිමින් ජීවත් වුණාද කියන එක.
The cradle of Buddhism that was established in the country can be directly attributed to Mahinda Thero. Teaching the doctrine to the bhikkhus who dwelt among these caves was also upon the instruction of King Devanampiyathissa.
The Mahaviharaya or main temple established the Mahamevuna Uyana, which was a complex that featured many different facets. It was here that the bhikkhus were taught literature, writing and Tripitaka text. This is also where they began their path in the doctrine.
The arrival of Mihindu Maharatan is considered a gift to Buddhists across Sri Lanka. And so is the sacred bow tree that was conveyed across to Sri Lanka by the female cleric Sangamitta. This specific bow tree was believed to be from the right branch of the same bow tree that the Buddha attained enlightenment under. The sacred bow tree, which landed on the northern part of Sri Lanka, known as Dambakolapatuna at the time, was received with much veneration by King Devanampiyathissa. He in turn placed it in the soil of Mahameuna Uyana. From then on, this sacred tree has been the convergence point for Buddhists across the world.
The Anuradhapura period was where the Buddhist culture flourished. If you take a look at the temples and remains of those buildings, one can understand how economically and culturally developed the area was.
Ruanvali Mahasaya is a stupa which pays homage to the Buddhas, Kakusanda, Konagama, Kashyapa and Gautama, who all set foot in this area. It was built by King Tutugamunu, who reigned from 161 to 137 BC. It has been said that the king built this great monument with the help of the gods. The many temples and shrines built within Mahameuna Uena bear witness to a heritage and culture based on Buddhism and can be traced back to King Devanampiyathissa.
හැම බෞද්ධයෙකුගේම අරමුණක් තියෙනවා. ඒ බෞද්ධයාගේ අරමුණ
Every Buddhist has an aspiration, that is to find peace beyond this realm, and it is a common desire by every king and every person. Hence, Buddhists led very humble and minimal livelihoods. It was the bhikkhus who taught in temples that dispensed knowledge. That is why so many structures heralding Buddhism have been erected across the country.
මේ ආධ්‍යාත්මය සූපත් කරගන්නට පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ.
With the hope of enlightenment and better understanding, a Buddhist culture grew, united with the temple. Much reverence has been paid to the relics of the Buddha over time by the people of Sri Lanka, and over time these have become customs and traditions. They are observed both by individuals and the public alike. The Kapruka Puja is one that is believed to bring great good to oneself. The custom is to engulf the circumference of the stupa with a blessed cloth. This is a ritual that is performed by many of the crowd. The 84,000 lamp ritual too is a common ritual that all Buddhists take part in.
This ritual of boiling milk is as gratitude for favors granted. It is performed at the 4 main corners. This is done to minister the clearing of a vow made earlier. It is a ritual that is specifically associated with the sacred Bo tree.
Upon the instruction of King Kitsirimevan, who reigned from 301 to 328 AD, Princess Hemamala and Prince Danta travelled from India to Sri Lanka, bearing the sacred tooth relic of the Buddha. The relic was placed in the hill country in the Senkadagala district. A distinctive veneration of this sacred relic takes place at the Dalada Maligava. The rituals and observances conducted as homage to the sacred tooth relic are called Tevas. 3 Tevas are performed daily: the Aluyama or morning Teva, Navapae or afternoon Teva, and the Savasa or evening Teva. The Tevas put into play the very same rituals that were performed many years ago.
I've had the greatest fortune of being placed as the 19th Devadan Nilame of the Temple of the Tooth Relic. Kapuwatte Adhikaram Nilame was the first to hold this prestigious position, and it was from 1814 to 1824. After the British handed over the custody of the sacred tooth relic to the Venerable Mahanayaka Theras of the Malwatte and Asgirya chapters, an officer was appointed to safekeeping the relic. He was to carry out the necessary rituals and oversee all aspects of the Sri Dalada Maligava. Even to this day, all those instructions are carried out faithfully.
Another illustrious feature of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic is the Asala festival and pageant. The festival brings to light the fascination and attraction of this colorful culture. The Mathale Aluviharaya is also a place of great importance in the hill country.
මාතල අලුවිහාරය ඓතිහාසික වශයෙන් ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් සිද්ධාස්ථානයක්.
The Mathale Aluviharaya is a significant and historical place for all Buddhists. The Tripitaka teachings were first made into text in this area. Even though 3 religious conventions were held prior to this, at no instance was the Tripitaka addressed. That is why this place holds such importance.
සංගායනා 3ක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ සංගායනා 3ම ඉන්දියාවේදී පැවැත්වුණේ. පළවෙනි, දෙවෙනි, හතරවෙනි ධර්ම සංගායනා.
Out of the few sacred relics housed in various locations across the island, Somavati Temple is venerated with great respect. Placed within its dome-shaped walls is a right-side tooth of the Buddha. Somavati Temple serves as a purpose for many a Buddhist pilgrimage. Even the southern province pays homage to more sacred relics of the Buddha. The Situlpauwa Rajamahavihara can also be considered as sacred ground. It was here that the Situlpauwa Theros of a bygone era sheltered, educated and guided the communities towards finding inner peace and a good life. The beauty of the natural habitat and surrounding environment could have once aided this peaceful purpose. The sacred land of Katharagama is another abode of veneration. When the Buddha set foot on Sri Lanka for the third time, it was to this area. History tells of how the Buddha visited the garden of King Mahasen and imparted his wisdom. It is believed that the Kirivera was built upon the sacred hair relic and the seat on which the Buddha convened. Katharagama plays importance due to its strategic placing, where it is believed to be the sacred land of the Ashtapala Bodhin Vahanse and the keeper of the faith, the god of Katharagama, whose temple draws visitors from all over the world. The Tissa Maharama Rajamahavihara is another site that contains the sacred relics of the Buddha. Out of the 16 sacred sites, Tissa Maharama is one and calls on Buddhists from far and wide. Not only by the great kings and their descendants were monuments built. The Sandahirusaya, which is currently being built in Anuradhapura, is a concept by His Excellency the President Malinda Rajapaksa. All amenities facilitating the requirements of devotees to this area has been looked into by the government of Sri Lanka. The jetty that links Nagadeepa and the refurbishment of the lake adjoining Mahayangane Rajamahavihara are just some of the recent developments. The state also facilitates the administration of Sunday school so as to cater to the future generations of Sri Lanka. From a very young age, these children are illustrated with the discipline and knowledge that Buddhism imparts. At his passing, the Buddha spoke of Sri Lanka being the true abode of Buddhism, and that it was here that the Dhamma and the Sangha would persist. It was the Buddha who understood the true nature of all that is living and non-living. nothing is forever, and anything can be easily destroyed was his doctrine. It is thereby imperative that one must haste to follow a righteous path. This land, the land of the Nirvana, invites upon its blessed shores the arrival of Maitri, the next Buddha.